Alrighty guys, it is Qaaman here today, and I'm bringing you another Dragon Ball Super discussion, but this time I am joined with JaxBlade. How are you doing today, Jax?
I'm doing quite well. How about you, my friend?
I'm fine, man, and in this video today I want to be talking about something that has kind of been puzzling my mind as I've seen on Twitter. A lot of people have been comparing Dragon Ball Super to Dragon Ball GT lately because obviously if you look at the amount of episodes so far of Super, you know, we're pretty much on episode 59 at this point, as, you know, at the point of this recording, 59 is the upcoming episode. So to think about that and comparing it with GT that was obviously cancelled at 64 because it had to end early, you gotta think that we're kind of getting to the point now where we can compare GT versus Super, because obviously they're around the same length now. So Jordan, why don't you open up in this video today by explaining what you think about GT versus Super and which show have you enjoyed more thus far?
All right, so if I'm going to be just completely honest, all right, the first two arcs of Super are really hit and miss with me. All right, for example, I really enjoy the first two episodes. I think they're phenomenal. Like I suggested, like to anyone, just watch those two episodes and then just, you know, watch Battle of Gods, because the animation to that was stellar. And then honestly, I really enjoyed the Super Goku fight of Super Saiyan God Goku fight versus Beerus, where they nearly destroyed the universe with 3 punches and giving Goku a new feat. That was badass as hell. And then I really did enjoy the training montage of Whis actually taking Vegeta and teaching him, hey, if you calm down and, you know, humble yourself down a bit, that we would actually help improve your training philosophy. And it was always like, what I really liked about that is since as a personal trainer, like there was a fitness little thing that I always loved. Whis practically brings this up. He brought it up in Resurrection F as well, but he was talking about how Vegeta takes too much time. He's stressed out and trains too much, and he doesn't let his body rest and recuperate fully, while Goku rests a lot of time, so he's able to get more out of himself. And so I just thought that was a nice little niche. But animation wise, like, yeah, I hate to admit it, it's just one of those things where it just fluctuated all over the place. I really wish they would have taken the time to really, since Dragon Ball Z, well, the Dragon Ball series in general is just one of the most iconic animes of all time. We've just been practically spoiled by so many great animes over the years, just like so well done and animated. So seeing, like, you know, shows like, well, movies like Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, where the animation was just so superb, well, when they didn't do that Xenoverse bullcrap, but when they looked just freaking awesome, I really would have enjoyed to see that more. But, you know, I've been watching many videos talking about the animation process and how it takes, and like how they're stressing to get the episodes out and all that jazz. But so far I would say I'm enjoying it partially. Like, I'll say this, the Black Goku arc so far, I love this. I love this Black Goku arc. If they had started from here, I would have just been all for it. No animation problems to me whatsoever. But the fact that they had to go through, you know, practically, like, how much was it exactly, Qaaman, about, like, okay, what was it? Okay, go ahead.
Well, the Champa Universe 6 arc started at episode 28, so pretty much the first 27 episodes were pretty much them retelling the Battle of Gods arc, and then this whole Future Trunks thing started around episode 47. So if you think about it, Jordan, and I'm kind of with you on this here, it's interesting because I've been talking to Geekdom about this a lot. Like, I feel like the biggest problem with Super is that you wait, like, if you really think about this from like a fan's perspective, because I try to think about this not from a YouTube perspective, because obviously we all review the episodes, we all kind of talk about it more in a for a mass audience. But if you were to just watch a show from the beginning, and the first 27 episodes were pretty much slightly retelling something that you already know is going to happen, and then from episode 28 to episode 47, there's a filler arc about some planet of, you know, sludge people that you don't care about in the planet Potafu arc. And there's also, you know, the whole Universe 6 arc that kind of, I don't want to say the Universe 6 arc was bad. It just didn't live up to the hype because people were so anticipating this tournament. And really, I think what screwed up the Universe 6 tournament is it didn't end on a note that people wanted it to. It didn't have an epic ending. It had kind of like, okay, Monaka randomly defeats Hit, you know, even though Hit let him win, and then the Omni King shows up and Zarama was summoned, and it was like, oh, that was a cool scene, but, you know, the Zarama stuff, I just don't feel that could have carried the whole arc. So, in my opinion, I think that the first 2 arcs were obviously just retelling. The 3rd arc was kind of... it was okay, it just didn't live up to expectations. But then this Future Trunks arc, I think this is where we're kind of getting to the point where it's like, wow, like this is actually good storytelling, and it's having people guessing on their toes, because, you know, the whole people are so curious as to how Zamasu got to where he is. People are curious what Black Goku is. People are curious what's going to happen to Gowasu. People are curious how you're going to defeat an immortal guy. There's so much discussion, which I think is healthy for the show, as opposed to earlier it was just bland fights that were retelling or just not very interesting. And let me just say one more quick thing. If I were to compare it to GT, I think when we analyze Super, the one thing that made the the Universe 6 tournament kind of a letdown was kind of because Goku and Vegeta were so much stronger than all of their opponents up to Hit. Like, if they had just one-shotted everybody, it would have made it more realistic. It was like they're literally toying with their opponents. And this is very different, Jordan, because you've obviously watched Yu Yu Hakusho. Yu Yu Hakusho's tournaments, even though Yusuke's team was better, they still had to put a lot of effort, and you saw tension in defeating, you know, those, you know, the earlier villains that they went up against. What do you think about Yu Yu Hakusho versus Universe 6?
Oh yeah, definitely. I would just say Yu Yu Hakusho's tournaments, that was what was great about Yu Yu Hakusho's tournaments, and which is a problem I really wish they would fix in Dragon Ball Z, is they have a lot of vertical power-ups but not horizontal. And what I mean by that is, like, they need to show more mastery of the skills they learn. Like, they learn a new skill and then they should like show more mastery. Like, sure, we have Super Saiyan Blue, and now they're like so ridiculously powerful, but we don't really see any new special techniques with it. Like when Vegeta went when he became Super Vegeta, he was able to, you know, do Final Flash, and when he went Super Saiyan for the first time, he had the Big Bang attack, and then, you know, when Goku went Super Saiyan 2 and Super Saiyan 3, he had, like, you know, even though there were movies, he had like Dragon Fist, or he absorbed the Spirit Bomb and he like punched people, even though that was when he was a base Super Saiyan. It's just like they have cool things they unleash, and while Goku unleashed that with the Kaioken, which I'm not gonna lie, I totally geeked out of the Kaioken thing. That's my weakness. I always said they should bring that back, but yeah, it just, compared to the Yu Yu Hakusho tournament arc, the Yu Yu Hakusho tournament arc had so many great things, because like you didn't know who was gonna win. Like, they would have matches and be like, oh snap, I thought so-and-so was stronger than this person, but this person outsmarted them and now they're having to do this. Or this person is so incredibly damaged, how are they going to continue fighting? And then it really kept you on your toes, and you were like, all right, who's gonna win this? Who's gonna win this? And then when it got to that final arc, it was so built up and all of it was just so perfectly played out. It's just one of the best fight scenes in all anime. Like, the entire one, from, like, you know, Yusuke versus Toguro, Kuwabara versus Elder Toguro, Hiei versus Bui, and Kurama versus, what was it? Yeah, you know, yeah, Karasu. So it was just like, it really felt like tension. But this one, it was just like, okay, we know for a fact, and don't take offense to this, Qaaman, you know, we know for a fact that 2 of the people were just gonna like be owning everyone because they're from our universe, so they had to. And then, like, we had to take out the biggest hitter right away, because, like, let's be real, like, if Boo fought, I feel like, even if he did, it's kind of like, it's hacks with his regeneration technique. It's just like, it's hacks. And they had to like find a way to take him out. So they were like, okay, we have these 2 really powerful people. This one guy, we don't know if he's really powerful or not until it's revealed he's not. And then we have all these fighters from Universe 6 who weren't really like that. Okay, you had Winnie the Pooh, you had a skinny Gohan, you had a robot, and you had freaking evolved form of Goldo and Hit. So that's pretty much it.
I mean, that was really you know, one of the things that I found interesting about the Universe 6 arc. It had interesting characters, but to actually go into the second half of this video, let's actually compare it to GT now. So, as we already evaluated Super so far, GT, if you look at it, the first arc was very, very, very interesting, but it just, and I was talking to Hail Zeon about this the other day. The first arc of GT was interesting because it created a sense of adventure, something that Dragon Ball had been lacking in a very, very, very long time, which was fun. It's just that the early arc of GT was just very slow and hard to really follow seriously, because you look at Goku, Pan, and Trunks and you're like, yeah, but these guys are so strong. Like, why are they trying to make tension out of these super minor villains, you know? And then when you move on to the next arc, it's a 180, and you know, obviously you can make a serious argument that the baby arc is definitely, you know, the strongest part of GT, because, you know, it was organic storytelling, as Hail Zeon was saying. Like, Baby was you know, he was a villain that was created because of the adventure that they had gone on to. So you see how, like, you know, he possesses Goten, Gohan, Vegeta's body. You know, it's causing a threat. Goku has to come defeat him. And that was actually the peak of GT, in my opinion. The Super 17 arc was a letdown, more so because A, it was super short, and B, it was just because I felt that it was just a generic story. Like, it was like, okay, let's just make an android come back for a few episodes before we get to the Shadow Dragon arc. And right, and the thing is, the thing with the Super 17 arc, in my opinion, was that it just, something didn't click with me, because I just felt that it was too much of a Goku come save us story. It was like they were trying so hard to make a brief story that just said, okay, these guys are just gonna get beaten up by this one android, even though they took out all the other villains, and that's just the way it is. That was the problem I had with that arc. I wish they had explored more of the other villains that had come back. For example, instead of Vegeta killing Nappa for like 2 seconds, like, I would have actually, yeah, it would have been more interesting if we saw them like actually fighting some of the older villains that were threats, instead of just blasting them away in like one blast. It's like, it kind of takes away from, you know, the nostalgia of watching those older villains. And then when we get to the Shadow Dragon arc, you know, that was a good arc. I just feel that the problem with the Shadow Dragon arc was that they just made it a Goku story. When you think about Goku and Pan wiping out pretty much all of the Shadow Dragons, all the way up until Omega Shenron, where Goku had to use a Spirit Bomb. So it's like, why didn't you make a team of characters that went after the Shadow Dragons, instead of them just chilling and having Goku and Pan doing it all day? That was the only problem I had with, you know, well, that was a major problem, obviously, that I had with the, you know, the Shadow Dragon arc of GT. So far, Jordan, I'm gonna have to say that I would say, to tell you the truth, GT so far has actually been better than Super, because of totality. This Future Trunks arc is already better than anything, in my opinion, the GT Saga ever did. Like, it's already better than all of GT. Like, the Future Trunks arc is better than any arc that GT put out. And I kind of like the Baby arc, you know. It did kind of throw people away in the sense of making Oob do nothing. That was the only problem I really had with it. But really, it was a decent arc in itself. But this Future Trunks arc shits on anything that GT put out. So, but because the first 2 arcs of Super so far were just retelling and boring in nature, and I'm trying to be unbiased because obviously those arcs obviously had their own thing, those 2 arcs plus the letdown of the Universe 6 arc would have to tell me that right now, GT as a whole was better, but Super's Future Trunks arc is better than anything GT put out.
Yeah, I completely agree with you in that part, Qaaman. Like, I say this for GT. Like, what you brought up was so valid, because when you rewatch the first episodes of Dragon Ball Z, like, if you watch the original Dragon Ball, they are already so powerful at the first tournament. Like, for example, Krillin and Master Roshi have a fight. Well, Jackie Chun have a fight. And Krillin and him have, like, this massive, like, battle that happens, like, within, like, a flash, like, blink of an eye. Like, it's just so fast. But they do all these complex moves, and they have to slow it down and explain it. So the fact that this is Dragon Ball GT, where they had years and years of, like, just growing, they outclass what they are now. Like, by the time, like, for example, Hit, for example. I know this is Super, but, like, Hit should be able, if Krillin and Master Roshi can, like, have this massive complicated battle structure in, like, less than a second, then Hit should be able to build, like, 3 freaking houses in, like, less than a millisecond with his freaking time skip ability. It's just, it's so ridiculous, the power scaling. And then, like, it's just, they forget how powers they have. Like Goku sometimes is like, you do realize you can fly, right? You do realize you're out as fast as the Flash now, right? You do realize you can probably bench press a planet now. So it's just like so many issues could be solved. But I do agree with you. I am keen on the Baby Saga art. I will say, though, I also kind of keen somewhat, like what you brought up, very valid points, but there was a part of me that when I was watching GT as a kid on not on Toonami, on the VHS tapes, where they seeing all the villains come back and just seeing like, wow, these guys used to be like threats, like massive, like world dominating threats, and now they're just like nothing to the characters. So I thought that was pretty interesting to see like how they just got wiped out. But then I agree with you completely when you said Goku, it was just like pretty much that's the joke for GT. It is Goku time, the series, because that's all he does. He comes out. And the Shadow Dragon arc, I mean, I really love Nova Shenron, and I really like I really like the fact that they did the Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta thing at the end. Like, I don't know. Okay, this is one of the things I'll say about GT. I'm just going to say this straight now. Like, anyone can quote me on this. I think for a fact GT had the best looking animation of all the Dragon Ball series. And I also think that Super Saiyan 4 is like the best transformation so far, because like what I really love about Super Saiyan 4 is the fact that it is a unique design. Like every other one is just like, okay, I'm going to show you the primary colors, red, yellow, blue. Like this is my Super Saiyan transformation. And then with this one, it's like we're going to take the Saiyan Uzaru form, we're going to mix it with the Saiyan Warrior form, and mix it with a bit of the Super Saiyan form. Now, I think that was just like the beastliest design for a transformation ever, and that's what I was really hoping Super Saiyan God would have looked like, because to me Super Saiyan God doesn't look all that godly, and Super Saiyan Blue is just basically Toriko mode. That's what I call it, Toriko mode, because is what it looks like. And GT, like just seeing Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, Super Saiyan 4 Goku fighting Omega Shenron, I thought that was kind of cool, but it didn't last as long, and then it just, like you said, turned into Goku time the series. But like, what did you think, to be honest?
Well, ultimately, to sum everything up, Jordan, like, I think that when you look at GT, like, it had awful character development and usage, and I understand why, because a lot of these characters we already know, but it did a horrible job of making other characters relevant. Like, it really did. And Super so far hasn't done a very good job, but at least Vegeta's involved more. But if you really think about it, if you look at GT, Goku, Pan, to some degree Trunks, and Vegeta, and mostly because he was a villain at some point because of his body, those were the only relevant characters to GT. Like, everybody else was kind of thrown aside. Whereas with Super, at least the Resurrection F arc had them doing something against Frieza's soldiers. And at least Battle of Gods had them trying to beat Beerus, even though they stood no chance. And at least the Universe 6 arc made an attempt to make them fight. You know, like Piccolo tried against, against Frost, or, and they were considering having Gohan join, and, also Majin Buu was supposed to come, but they always make an excuse to throw him out of the story. So, and also, like, even if you want to go with filler, let's look at even though it's technically not filler, the Planet Potafu arc thing, having Goten and Trunks going out of space, like all of that stuff, I feel Super's done a better job to address character development. It's just that the arcs are weaker, but like I said, this future Trunks arc and maybe the arc thereafter can, I think, in my opinion, bring Super to defeat GT. So with everything else said, guys, I think we're hitting the end point of this video today. I want you guys to say in the comment section below, what do you guys honestly think is better so far? And let's do a little quick vote. So if you honestly think that Super so far has been better than GT, put hashtag Super. If you think, GT has been better than anything Super's put out so far, then put hashtag Dragon Ball GT. Honestly, like I said, I think GT is slightly better as a whole, but I think that Super can eclipse it because this arc is really good and we don't know what's going to happen thereafter. Jordan, your final take on which is better?
Well, my final take, I will slightly say in totality, like, GT is slightly better, because when you have 20 episodes, well, actually, like, I would say 20, well, yeah, a few episodes that were good. So the first 28 were not as great as I wanted them to be, and then you have like a mediocre tournament, but you have a phenomenal ending, then I say like you have the potential to beat GT. But right now, I will say for little slight, like a little inch that GT is winning.
All right. So with everything else said, guys, please check out JaxBlade. I'll post a link to his channel in the description, and please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys. Enjoy it and take us out.
Keep calm and booyah on, and don't forget, Momentai. Have a great day.